if the board has any specific questions on the project itself. But essentially what we're doing is, a lot of the water infrastructure here at the airport is very old, and we're getting to the point where we've got to start upgrading it, otherwise when we start dealing with water breaks, it's going to be catastrophic. So all the water that's coming into the airport is essentially coming in the west side by the T-hangars. And what we're doing is upgrading the infrastructure by replacing the materials and installing new infrastructure there. And that's kind of phase one of the project. Phase two then is going to be building a structure that's going to house the major part of the infrastructure that we can actually access from above ground. At this point, everything is underground. So if there's a break, the only way to get in there is essentially by destroying a lot of the T-hangars and getting into the concrete there. So Dave's been working with a number of our water vendors on doing this the best way we possibly can and for the lowest cost to the district. So we split this out into two different requests of the board. The first one being the material purchases, which we can actually purchase on our own. We don't have to rely on our vendors to purchase the materials. And then the second one is going to be approving the installation of these materials. And this is where we've got the two different bids. So item A is simply just the materials, which is about $60,000, which we're asking your approval on.
Are there any questions from the board?
Wait a minute now, so it says we're working with Kern County on a precise development plan for the structure. That's the phase two.
That is the phase two, correct.
So we have a plan for phase one.
Yes. The PD plan is what the county needs to approve for the structure itself, because it's above ground.
And phase one, you're looking to kick it off immediately?
Right away.
And when is phase two?
Depending on when the PD plan gets approved, we can't really start on the structure until that happens. So the county's told us it might be a month at the most before all that gets approved. So we don't expect it to take too much longer. Dave, do you have a better timeline from the county?
No, I don't. But I think it might be. A month is probably optimistic. You know, it might be that we're talking about late July and August, something like
Less
that.
than 6 months?
Oh yeah. The difference is, as Karina was saying, is that the structure, it's about the size of a single car garage. It's above ground, and that's what needs the PD plan. The things that we construct and bury don't need a PD plan. So that's why phase one is just the underground work.
Do we have a process on our phase two?
We think it'll probably be in the ballpark of $1 to $150,000. But we haven't even started the bid process for that yet.
That includes the building and the stuff that's up above it.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, I think that's all my questions.
Any other board questions?
Is there going to be any interruption of service?
So the only tenant that's probably going to be affected is Alan and Kathy Hansen, and I've talked to Kathy about it just so they're aware that this is going to be happening. The amount of time is going to be very minimal. It's a few days at the most before we can the piece that's going to be torn up slightly is the part where they would have to taxi aircraft out. So we're as soon as we have a date set, we're going to coordinate in more detail with them. But she knows it's going to be happening.
So is this a week project?
No,
a 2-day project?
A week maybe is what we're thinking. What we're hoping.
Yeah, it's probably a week at least, maybe 2. I think the question that Jimmy's asking is the disruption of the water service.
Yes,
It will not be disrupted.
No, sorry.
Because we're looped, is that what you're saying?
Well, we're keeping the existing system in operation while we build the other part. And so the flip over will be pretty easy. In fact, for a period of time, we can operate both. And then when we actually disconnect, and that'll be on phase 2, we disconnect our service, there will be a limited amount of time that we'll operate out of our tanks. And so but the people won't know that there's anything else going on.
We need to flush them, right?
Well, the tanks are ready to go.
Are there any other board questions? Okay, I believe we have a motion by Mr. Valentine to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? There being none, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Capacity to respond. So, we hit the deadline, we did not get their response, so we only have these two to consider at the moment. The price difference between these two is pretty enormous, you might have noticed. So all three companies have done work out here. W.M. Lyles and Griffith have done a lot of work out here. Christensen Brothers, some of their employees have done work out here, but the company itself, they've only done, I think it's just this 210 project. The phase 1 of the 210 project is the only thing they've ever done out here. So we've got no issues with any of these companies. Griffith in particular has done so much work out here, we have absolutely no reason to deny them or to recommend denying them the work. They, in fact, I think, hopefully I'm right about this, the big infrastructure project that we put around the north side of the property,
That's correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
So they've done quite a bit of big projects out here for us. So we're recommending approving the labor portion of this project to go to Griffith.
Do you have any idea? When I see a number like this, I'm always like, either we're missing something, or somebody else is missing something, or
Yeah.
somebody's overly optimistic and looking to make it up on change orders.
So they know they can't do change orders. This is a fixed price. Christensen had called the last day asking for more time because they were just backlogged on business. So what we gather is they're just oversubscribed at the moment. They really didn't have the capacity to do the project.
This company's a big company, they've been around this state forever, very reputable and do a lot of work for the county, so I never heard of that.
Are there any other questions?
I make the motion to approve Clifton Company.
Motion to approve?
Second?
A motion is second. Is there any public comment on this matter?
I'm also always curious when it ends with $1. $2.01.
That's their fudge factor. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Word at the time that we would have to come back at a future date for the contract itself, and this is what we're presenting today. So we've gone back and forth, Scott in particular has gone back and forth with MPUD's attorney on just some of the language in the contract itself, and we've gotten to a point where I'm completely comfortable recommending that we approve this contract. And again, just a reminder, the reason that we have a contract with them is because we're not part of their district. So we have to have some kind of formal agreement that says they're gonna provide a service and we're gonna pay for that service. That's essentially what this agreement is.
Are there any questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Did you have any questions on Dr. Peterson?
No, I'm gonna abstain from this vote.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? I have a question. Are the fees is there an addendum to this that has the fees?
So the fee structure that was approved last meeting will essentially be part of the exhibits, I suppose. I guess I should have attached that, I apologize.
Okay.
But I'm happy to provide that to the directors if you want a reminder of what the fee structure is.
Okay, we'll have a motion and a second. There's no public comment. Is there any further discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Yes.
One, motion passes.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Norm Hill. I'm with Norm Hill Aviation over in California City. I run a Gulfstream parts outfit and maintenance facility. I also buy and sell aircraft with all Gulfstreams. I've been over there for about almost 5 years now. Our business has grown from a very small business with 4 people up to now 16 employees and 30 aircraft. So we're doing a pretty good job. We're grossing about $4.5 million a year. So it's a pretty nice retirement for myself. It's working out pretty well. I'm in aviation since 1970. I started out to be a pilot. And unfortunately, as a mechanic, you can't make the money to be a pilot, especially not in 1970. So after a year or two of trying to do that on a budget, I enlisted in the Air Force during Vietnam, and I served my term. Did 4 years active, 2 years in reserve. After that, I was in many organizations in the last 30 years. A couple of significant ones in Van Nuys, the Jet Center, Western Commander, Gulfstream Completion and Maintenance Center, which I started from the ground floor with the owner. And in 10 years, we took it to $15 million a year pretty good job. I worked for Dallas Automotive, a Rolls-Royce engine provider and EPUs for 10 years, so I have extensive that knowledge as well. And then most recently, my business, and then I worked for Western Jet in Van Nuys also. I was the vice president there for 3 years. And we started out with 4 guys and about $500,000 a year. And by the time I left in 2008, 3 years later, we were up to $5 million. So I have a history and a track record of being successful and doing good things in aviation. I think I could give any of you a challenge to find anyone in the aviation industry that has anything bad to say about me. So my whole reputation has been very important to me my whole life. So with that said, I'm also the chairman this year of the Cal City Airport Advisory Board. There's just 4 of us, so it's just a little thing. But in the last 2.5 years we've been doing this, we took Cal City Airport from $70,000 in the hole every year to now we're in the black. So last year and this year we're in the black. So we're either breaking even or we're going to make some money this year. So I have pretty good airport knowledge, pretty good operations knowledge. I'm not a pilot, I don't have a pilot's license, but I have flown over 1,500 hours as test mechanic in many, many different airplanes. In the Air Force, I was an AC-130 crew chief on gunships. So I'm very electronically background, I have a lot of background in that. From a business and management side, I've created some successful businesses that weren't my own, and now I've finally created one that is my own. So we're pretty happy. I consider Cal City in this area my home, and it's going to be my retirement, and it's going to be where I live. So I'm dedicated to this area. I'm also the president of the EDC in Cal City right now, which we are turning around. We're trying to make it proactive. It's starting to work very well. I don't know if you saw the video that was online that we put out about Cal City recently, a little 3-minute video. It's on YouTube if you want to go see it. We put that together for about $3,000, and it's really been looked at. It has over 190,000 hits already, and it's only been up there a couple weeks. So with that said, if you have any questions or
I think you utilize your time, and we appreciate your comments.
Very
Thank
good.
you very much.
thank you.
Mr. Clipperton.
I reside in Mojave. I'm president of the Mojave Chamber of Commerce. As you've probably seen from my cover letter, I don't have a whole lot of experience running airports or aviation. I'm not a pilot. What I am doing though, since I retired from Keith & Sons Ford, is promoting the community and the well-being of the community, which is basically what the Eastern Airport District was established to do, was to benefit the economic well-being of the people and businesses within its boundaries. That's, I've been spending my time since retiring promoting that. I believe strongly in improving the community for everyone who is within it. Of course, the airport district is, and Mojave Air and Spaceport is focused on aerospace, which is a very important driver economically, not only in this area here, but in what people are starting to call Aerospace Valley. And I believe in that, but with all that said and done, as the Spaceport has become known regionally, statewide, countrywide, worldwide, it's, we need to keep, I think, a focus on why this was established, and that is for the benefit and the well-being of the area that is encompassed by the boundaries of the airport district. And that's what I would like to achieve. I don't have a lot of aerospace experience other than growing up here, but I believe in looking at every issue with a critical mind, with analyzing problems, analyzing situations, getting all the information necessary to make an objective and wise decision, and then making that decision. That is what I would like to bring to the Spaceport Board, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. That was exactly 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Karl. My family's been in this area for quite a long time. We came here in about 1896. I've been in the valley for over 50 years, and I've been in Mojave for 28. I understand the dynamics of the area, and I understand the potential of the airport as well as what it's actually doing now. I've worked in aerospace and around it for probably around 30 years. Currently serving in the Army Reserve for the last 42 years. As an aviator, as a maintenance manager and as an electronics chief. So most of that has been focused on aviation. What I think I can bring to the area is an understanding of the infrastructure that's needed in this area, because I see it often neglected. There's a lot of improvement that needs to be made, as was previously discussed. But a lot of other things, especially airspace, reallocation, preservation, so that we can prevent the steady creep of the military into other aspects of your airspace. I'm very aware of that, and having flown in the area for quite a long time. I do possess a commercial helicopter pilot instrument rating with ATP eligibility, as well as a variety of other airframes, although not recent. But I really think that in the last few months of being recently retired from active civilian federal service, that I could take and use my time actively to try and benefit this area.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Andrew Parker. I've been in the area since 1967. I am a licensed pilot. I did serve on the California City Advisory Board under Tom Wheel for about 5 years, quite a few years ago. I'm also a licensed engineering contractor. Do a lot of infrastructure and test structure work for NASA's JPL lab down in Pasadena. And I think I could help out with engineering and construction and that kind of input for the board to help see the future of this. Also, as he mentioned, the encroaching of communities on airports like Santa Monica and the destruction of our airspace and stuff is very important to protect this space, as we are one of the largest providers of employment for this area out here at the Spaceport as well, and I think it's important to keep that going, to keep our community viable. That's all I think.
Thank you. Mr. Mijares?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for considering my application for the vacancy on the Board of Directors for the Mojave Spaceport. I am currently the senior pastor for the Mojave Foursquare Church. I also manage the Camelot Homeowner Association with 109 townhomes. I'm also a chaplain for the Kern County Sheriff's Department and on the staff of the chaplaincy program. And if you don't mind, I would like to read my statement. Feel free. When I was called to come and pastor Mojave, my first response was to ask God to give me Mojave. But I would soon find that I didn't understand my call. It was not that Mojave would be given to me, but that I would be given to Mojave to help make it a better place for people to thrive and to prosper. And so with that in mind, I found that I would need to be a person where trust and confidence are to be part of who I am, and that I would have an obligation to act in the best interest of Mojave, to be a positive influence in that relationship. I would like to offer my experience, my enthusiasm, my organizational skills, and professionalism in order to support the Mojave Air and Spaceport, as it has also become a place where people thrive and prosper. As a member of the Board of Directors, I would act in the best interest of the airport and to be part of something that brings the greatest good for the greatest number of people, a place that is in the threshold of aviation history. I don't have a lot of experience in aerospace, but I do know that if being part of this community, I'm going to be celebrating my 8th year here as the pastor of Mojave, and it's a great community to live in, and so I would like to be part of something that would just bring more prosperity and good things to Mojave. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this matter?
I just want to remind everybody that there's an election this fall, and there's going to be 3 positions open this fall. So I highly encourage everyone to, if you're interested, that even if you're selected or not selected for this position will be up for re-election in the fall also. So Director Painter position, my position, Director Evers' position, I do not intend to seek re-election. So there's definitely some positions open. So if you are interested, and even if you're not selected in this case, or even if you are selected, I highly encourage you to get registered with the county and run for the offices, because there'll be 3 positions open. There'll be 4-year positions.
Thank you. I echo those words as well. So we appreciate the applicants and your time to come down here. I would like the board to entertain this through an ad hoc committee, Mr. Valentine.
Sure.
And have the ad hoc committee come back and make a recommendation I'd like that to occur our next regular meeting, and at that time, I'd like to make an appointment. If that's okay with the board. Is that okay? I'd like to appoint Mr. Valentine to that, and myself. Can I appoint myself to be on the ad hoc committee?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
you can.
You don't have to motion.
Yeah, okay, so, Mr. Valentine and I will meet between now and the next, meeting. We'll discuss, and we'll go from there and make our recommendations. Thank you very much again. Next.
Pointed out and reminded me that, we won the air quality grant for $50,000 for a charging station, which is scheduled to start installing, hopefully Harold will tell us.
Well, the paperwork will be signed in July,
Okay,
and it'll be official then.
so
And then
sometime
after
next.
that, we're free to start.
Okay, good. So this will include a charging station with 2 chargers, essentially. So we'll hopefully, ideally put it out in the parking area close to this building, just depending on whether there's any other infrastructure issues, but they didn't foresee any. So that's gonna start hopefully this summer, which is great news for us. Something that we've been
Hopefully
pushing.
though, we'll design it so that it's not taking up the prime spots for people going to lunch and stuff. It could be a little.
I think that's kind of the plan. We'll have to wait and see what infrastructure they really need. Just, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but the restaurant doesn't actually rent the parking lot. This is all airport.
I understand.
So,
Is there a standard in charging stations as far as fittings or connections or?
there is. It's beyond me.
I'm just curious.
If you set, this is just my personal opinion, if you sequester it a little bit, then people won't who aren't wanting to charge but don't wanna walk so far, won't take up the charging station as a parking spot. And then vice versa, people won't drive up and say, oh, it's a charging station, and then they go somewhere else and they're all mad because they spots don't charge somewhere else.
I know that it's got to be close enough to the building to hook into our electric panel somewhere. So we can't put it in
Any
the park.
building,
We've got infrastructure.
That area with the fence around it right over here, that's electricity.
you can hook into any of
It's
our
for the
buildings.
generators.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That might
Well, our
be a good
infrastructure runs to where the solar panels are, that's still in the ground.
yeah.
That would be an ideal spot.
Just throw that out there as an idea.
Yeah, okay. When it comes time, we'll definitely evaluate a couple
So
of
you're not
different
mad at me when I'm
options.
parking in one of those spots that I'm not charging.
No, no.
Better be charged.
And then, one other just quick mention, and I'll mention this as an approved expenditure. The last bullet on the CEO report is about the annual Intermediate Space Challenge run by Murray Walker. It's scheduled to take place this Friday. Since I've included this report in the board packet, Maria's since come to me asking to waive the entry fee, and I've agreed to do that. We didn't have a whole lot of notice, but I did make the decision yesterday to waive the entry fee for the ISC, for the kids to come and do their rockets this Friday. So I just wanted to mention that as an approved expenditure to the board.
Any questions of the CEO?
Is that in the marketing budget?
It's actually gonna be, in the event expense.
Event expense. That's different than marketing. I'm not quite sure exactly, but we'll let you skate on that one. All right, we have no board committees at the present time for report. Any director comments?
Yeah, I've got a comment. A couple of the candidates expressed concern over encroachment on this airspace. Back in 2005, the Kern County Board of Supervisors created an organization called the Edwards Community Alliance, which I have chaired for the last few years. We meet monthly in Building 1, and we have representatives from all over the region. The County of Kern, several years ago, set up a zoning system. The airport is protected significantly against any encroachment. They're informed anytime anybody wants to build something around here. They also formed something called the red, green, yellow map, which severely controls people putting up tall structures like wind turbines or radio antennas, so somebody flying Napa the Earth doesn't have a bad surprise some morning. And we're also working, the other encroachment in this area is the lack of an educated workforce, and we're working, the other half of our organization is the East Kern Educational Resource Network. We work very carefully and closely with all of the schools. Everyone in the region has a STEM program, so we appreciate that. We've been working on that for years, and we're going to continue to do that.
Any other direct comments?
For we're doing our 4th annual flight test camp on the week of June 20th. And so the students and parents are meeting tonight at the Spaceport School as the phase 2 of that ramp up. And we've got students coming from Mojave, Cal City, 2 schools in Tehachapi, Rosamond, and a school out of Palmdale, I believe. We invited several other schools, but they declined to participate. So anyway, so June 20th, we should be doing it, 18 kids, and we'll be year 4.
Nice. Nice.
All right, if there are no other director comments, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda?